So how are things today?
Things are good, man. It got a little crazy around here earlier. The Wi-Fi went out during our busiest time. Chris Bartell, good afternoon. Hey. How are you, my man?
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Good.
Good to see you. This is a good friend of mine, Wayne. Chris Bartell. He does all of our graphic designs. You can see some of these monster posters back here. A lot of the work that we do is done through Chris Bartell. You can see this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Ron Goldie McClendon on the line. Welcome to the show, Goldie.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
We are doing great, man.
Good deal, man. Good.
All right, so let's just do a quick mic test here, make sure everybody can hear and listen, and we'll get this show started. Wayne, good to go.
How am I sounding?
Check, sounding good. Bartell.
I feel like I have to bust out a beat, like microphone check, 1, 2, what is it?
Watch out. Goldie will be the first one on that right there. Hey, Chris, if you have earphones, like iPhone earphones.
I think so. Yeah.
The sound quality will come in so much cleaner on the front and back end.
Okay, let me go get more fast.
And Goldie, if you could just become like 6 inches taller during the show, that you'll fit just fine into that window right there.
Is that better?
Much better. So those of you guys who are coming on first time, we're not going to officially start this show for a couple minutes, but on the left-hand side, you'll see something that says Tell a Little Bird. So you guys are all on Twitter right now. What I want you to do is just take a brief second and hit that button that says Tell a Little Bird. You can hashtag something that you're involved in or your own special hashtag. I hashtag SickFit, and now that's spread out to the world. We obviously want to get as many viewers as possible on this show.
Gotcha.
There we go. All right, guys. So we are recording this. This will become a downloadable MP3 file that you can share on your own website, share with your people, send it out to your family. I thank you guys for joining us today. I'm going to give the formal introduction for the first time because this is the first time that we've actually had a formal introduction. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. The good thing about this is that the host is I can completely mute somebody. So if it gets too crazy right there, you're good. Bartell, try that again.
Can you hear me?
Perfect. There you go. Awesome. All right, guys, here we go. So hello and welcome to Fathers of the Future, the only live, interactive, streaming video show on the planet that discusses, debates, and delivers important tips and tools for dads. Congratulations. You have personally been selected to step up to the mic and deliver fresh, relevant content, tell stories, and share your own personal path to fatherhood. Want to learn more about the most important job a man will ever have? Need dinner topics and fun, engaging events to do with your kids? On this show, we will learn together and grow as a community. So what are you waiting for? It's time to show the world what makes you a father of the future. Be honest, tell your friends, laugh, cry, and open your heart so that we can all learn what it takes to be committed, engaged, and devoted to the children in our lives. My name is Luke Kayyem, and I am a father of the future. All right, guys, so I'd like to start. Let's just go around the horn here. Wayne, if you would, introduce yourself. Tell us where you are. Tell us what makes you a father of the future. And tell us how many kids you have. What ages are they? And we'll just start there.
What do we have, an hour show?
We got as long as we need to, man. I went 34 hours, at least 33 more.
Excellent. Well, I'm Wayne Richard. I'm coming at you from Tucson, Arizona. I'm a founder, owner of Prescribed Bookkeeping and Financial Management. I have 5 children. So my wife and I have a 9-year-old daughter, Ava, 5-year-old son, Buzzy, and we had triplet newborns about 18 months ago now. So we got Alexandra, Luke, and Colton. So our hearts are full and our wallets are now empty. So I think now is a good time. We're shutting it down for sure.
Right.
Now, so, are you making the appointment to shut it down, or are you just committing to shutting it down?
Just shut down on both sides.
Okay, all right.
No, now it would certainly be immaculate conception if something were to go down. So I guess I'm a father of the future because I am engaged and I'm really present in my children's life. I think a big part of my childhood was with a father that was involved through everything. At all the games, at all the practices, they're with me at the table, working on homework, chasing me in the yard, teaching me what it meant to be a man and how to be a good father. So I think from that, and also, having 5 children, you almost by proxy get the title of being a great dad. And it's something that I feel like needs to be earned. So it motivates me to get out there and learn and to read and to get into, these types of discussions with other men to grow as a father.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. You come from a background where, you said your dad was at every practice, every event, was at absolutely everything. And maybe that's,
100%.
We asked each other that question the other day. Are you born with this gift to become a dad? Or is it something you learned from watching your own dad? Or is it something that you have to work on every single day? And I would probably agree that it's all 3 of those things.
Absolutely. I think we talked too. It's, I've now been a dad for 9 years. So every single day, 24 hours a day, I have had a job to fulfill. And I can't think of any other aspect of my life that if I were to dedicate that much time to, that by now I wouldn't be an expert and no longer make mistakes. But I'll tell you, I'll be honest, I make mistakes every day. And there are times where I feel as though I may be amongst one of the worst dads in the world. But you get to where you start to understand that, man, this is a journey and there is no failure. These are just learning experiences, and they're things to be shared so that, others can learn too.
That's awesome, man. Ron, please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us how you were raised, who raised you, and how you got to where you are. Because this is a pretty amazing story for those that don't know you. Yeah. It's definitely something that, sat with me the first time we talked, and we've known each other now for about, I would say, almost 4 years. Yeah. So please share with the world your story about how you're becoming, and you are a father of the future.
All right, guys. Ron McClendon, as you may have heard, Luke called me Goldie. That's what I go by. A lot of my friends call me Goldie. So please feel free.
Yeah, but tell us why. You can't just say your name's Goldie. I mean, you have to tell us why your name is Goldie.
Well, guys, the reason why my name's Goldie, when I played ball, I had had gold fronts, believe it or not. So that was part of who I was, if you will. And my sophomore year in high school, I went to attend the LSU football camp, and Coach Mike Haywood gave me the nickname Goldie. I wore a visor on my helmet, so all you saw was my teeth. So he called me Goldie. So it took my name off my helmet and wrote Goldie. And since my sophomore year in high school, that stuck with me. I don't have the gold teeth anymore, but the name still sticks because I guess my personality now. So.
Now, before you get into the parenting part, start right there at your sophomore year in high school. Give us the timeline of your football career.
Well, guys, I'll go back even farther, Luke. I started probably like you guys did with any sport, Pop Warner. Started playing football when I was 8 years old, guys. And I'll never forget the feeling. I wanted to play so bad, Luke. It was as my great grandmother raised me. You guys will know that. My mom had me when she was just 14 years old, and it was just. But believe it or not, I grew up with so much love in the household. Me and 3 other of my cousins grew up in the house with my great grandmother, and I didn't miss meals, guys. I mean, I don't know if God had a shield on me or something, but I didn't feel like I went without anything that anyone else went without because my grandmother had that much love for us, if you will. So, fast forward to football, I wanted to play. Obviously, I remember it was $20 to play Pop Warner football, and my grandmother didn't have it. So I went out to my neighbors. I cut yards. I mean, at 8 years old now, cutting yards and raising money myself to play Pop Warner football. I'm quite sure you guys done some similar things when you're growing up. So I raised the money to play Pop Warner football, and I fell in love with football. And football became my escape, guys. Football and track, beyond it became from my reality of growing up in New Orleans. It was my escape from everything. It's kind of like the stories you hear on TV. It really was. My sophomore year in high school, when I really found out that I had a chance to, take this thing to the next level, and I moved in with my high school coach. I stayed with my high school
as a sophomore in high school.
Sophomore in high school, absolutely. Wow. I moved in with my high school coach. So the movie Blindside, guys, I should have went to the producers before. Dang, because I had a better movie. But I know Mike. I went to Ole Miss as well. But so I moved in with my high school coach, guys, and
now he must have believed in you, obviously, right?
Absolutely, Luke. He sat me down. He said, "Listen, if you want to do this and you want to be serious about it, I can help you. If you don't waste my time or your time." And hearing that, I was like, okay, well, it's the only way out. I had a cousin who I lost, at 16 years old to drugs. Man, I was junior in college, and he got killed, shot 5 times over drug deal. 16 years old. So again, guys, I wanted out. So my high school coach raised me, Luke, from sophomore year on up. I mean, I would go back to my grandmother's house a lot, but I primarily stayed with him. And and the rest pretty much is history. I got a scholarship to Ole Miss. I had 5 offers. Could probably went anywhere in the country I wanted to go. My high school coach was a good friend with Archie Manning, so Eli was at Ole Miss, so I went to Ole Miss. It was good, but even before I had to go to college, I got into some trouble in high school. With my grandmother being around, I had a different scholarship offers from different schools. So quite naturally, I was receiving money from a university, put it like that. And if you guys Google McClendon investigation right now, or McClendon, on the investigation, it's on there. I missed my last 5 games of my senior year because of that. You know what I mean? So, and I just got 2 young boys. So I have twin boys, Nico and Teo. I have a daughter who's 4. And, just like you, Wayne, unfortunately for me, I didn't have my dad. I have yet to, see my dad. Last time I saw my dad was my college graduation, and that was it. And he came to my first preseason game. I was in Tennessee. But that was it, man. I'm 34 years old now. I haven't heard from him. Really, I don't really care. I mean, I made this far without him, and I feel like I got twin boys who that's me all over again. You know what I mean? And I want to be the dad that I didn't have. Unlike you, when you want to be the dad that raised you, that had you. I want to be the dad I didn't have. I want to be special for those kids. I want them to have everything. So I work my butt off to make sure that I can provide for them.
I think what's common is we both feel like there's something to prove, right?
Oh, no question.
I think for me, it's to fill the mold that I knew of from my dad and the example that he was to me. And what's amazing is it's very opposite your story, but our desire and our bond remains the same.
Absolutely, man. It's I can talk all night. Luke, no, I can't. I mean, it's so many other details in there. Like, I remember, one of my uncles, guys, probably, one of the, not living the perfect life, if you will. And I remember having an experience with him. I think I touched it with Luke. In my sophomore year, I was attending a football camp at LSU, and I remember being at his house, and I just remember the cops just raiding the house, man. And I'm in the house where the Fed kicked the door down. Everyone's in there. To them, it's dangerous. I mean, I'm 16 years old. Just came from LSU camp, football camp. I had nothing to do with anything, right? But I got treated the same way everyone else did. Gun in the back of my head, get down. You know what I mean? So all those things that I remember, man. I just don't want my kids to go through that. I tell Luke every morning, me and Luke don't live too far from each other. I have to almost remind myself how lucky I am to be here every single day. Like some guys, it's human nature because you get busy in your life, you're doing things in your life, and you almost forget, how fortunate we are. You know what I mean?
Never forget where you came from.
Never forget it, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We're going to get back to you in just a sec, Ron, here. So Chris, please introduce yourself, because you come from a completely different background as well, being in the military. And we're definitely going to want to hear, what that was like when you were overseas and what it's like now. You have a son. So please introduce yourself and tell us a little background.
My name is Chris Bartell. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been here for about almost 17 years now. And before that, I came from a real small town in Kansas, a little place called Hillsboro, population about 1,500 people. Grew up on a farm. My mother and my father are really hardworking people, My dad, I like to call him like the last American. He's your typical stereotypical, like the beer drinking, football watching, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. He worked his butt off. And that's just like the Midwest. That's just how everybody is out there. They're from the earth. They grind every day. They grind, no complaints. Just get out there, put your nose to the chalk, and just grind out. And so growing up that way, seeing my father go to work every single day, never complain, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. I never really got to see him that much. I was really big into martial arts, and he never was able to go to any of my testings and stuff, like a couple of them. And so my mom, she had to fill in for that, and my grandmother actually too, had to fill in, because at the same time in the Midwest, it's such a low income area that both people have to work to survive out there. And we weren't farmers. We didn't raise cattle, but we did. My mom did break horses, take wild horses and break them. So that was pretty much it. And then when I was coming from the Midwest, you don't really have a future besides farming or welding or whatever. So I joined the military. I joined the Air Force with 4 of my best friends. It was kind of a funny story. I had no intention of ever joining the Air Force. I was going to go to art school in Colorado. That was my goal. And my friends were like, hey, let's go down to the Armed Forces recruiting station. I'm like, whatever, let's go. So we talked to the Army, Marines, Navy, everybody. Air Force was our last place. We heard this spiel from everybody. And the Air Force guy, he was good. He was a good car salesman. he says to me, he's like, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to do art stuff. And he's like, oh, you can be an artist for the Air Force, a graphic designer. I'm like, what? So I'm like, he's like, what else do you like to do? I'm like, I like to do martial arts. He's like, oh, you can be a martial artist for the Air Force. 18 years old. Yeah. I'm like, okay, where do I sign? So all 4 of us signed to be guaranteed cops in the Air Force, because it was if you sign up to be a cop, you're going to go in immediately. I'm like, cool. So out of the 4 of us, I was the only one that made it through everything, basic training, tech school. The rest of the guys got booted out.
Wow.
It became an artist.
Yeah. And I didn't want to be there. I was like, I just want to be with my friends, but it worked out that way. And then so my first duty station was, Nellis Air Force Base, Las Vegas, Nevada. And I got here March 3rd, 1998. And, coming from a small town of 1,500 people to 1.7 million people was a huge shock for me. But I had a blast out here. I had a great time. There were a lot of opportunities out here. And, at the time, the martial arts scene was kind of still, it was old school, Las Vegas Fight Club, Combat Club, where Frank Mir trains out of, stuff like that. That was pretty much the only thing out here. And then in 2005, when Ultimate Fighter premiered, this city blew up. There was gyms popping up every week. There was a new gym. And so I still maintain, still went to LA Boxing is where I was normally going, working out and training and stuff. And earlier on in my career, I wanted to be try out for the Armed Forces martial art team for the Air Force. And I think it was my 3rd or 4th month at Nellis Air Force Base. I rolled and almost broke my ankle, and it set me back. And at the same time, I turned 21. And so it was okay, 21 in Las Vegas. I let the city just devour me pretty much. So, but I still kept training and everything like that. And, that was pretty much it. I've been here ever since. And my wife and I are trying to move back to Montana, where she's from, or Kansas, whatever, to kind of go back to a grassroots type thing to raise I have a son. I have one son. He's 4.5. And, that's one of the struggles about being a father out here in Las Vegas is that even as a professional athlete out here in Las Vegas, if you notice that a lot of professional athletes move to Las Vegas because there's a lot more opportunities job-wise, but this city will devour people and it'll spit you up and chew you out. And that's why we really don't have that many successful, college teams out here, is because the coaches cannot compete with the city life out here. It's so over the top. And Luke, you've been out here before several times. You know how it is.
We had an opportunity to move out there about 2 years ago, and we love Scottsdale. We've been here 7-8 years. We took a tour of the city, and we were looking at beautiful houses with inside of a country club. And next thing you know, we turned right, and it was Skid Row. It was crazy. Scottsdale is so hidden, Ron. Obviously, it's a great place, but Vegas is it's a tough town.
It's a tough town, and I was born and raised in the country, but I grew up in the city. Basically, I was born and raised in Kansas with good whole values, and grind, grind, grind. And I've taken that with my life everywhere I've gone. Like in the Air Force, I was very successful. And it was because of my hard work that my father instilled in me, not by saying a word, but just by his actions every day, just grinding. It was something that was like, I was always trying to live up to his like expectation. Like I never wanted to disappoint my father, like most of us do, but, and I thought, joining the Air Force was great. And of course, he's very proud of me. They're still in Kansas today. And, getting out of the military, that was one of the hardest things. I did 10 years of service in the Air Force. And I got to a point in my career where it was like, do I make this a career or do I get out and try to find new opportunities? And at the time, I wasn't very happy in my life. I was very unhappy in my life. And I just started having to make some changes, some very tough, difficult changes. Around the same time, I met my wife, and she was still in the Air Force. And at the time, I quit. I got out of the Air Force, did my 10 years, and I got a job at the Nevada test site. And that was a very, very stressful job, good job. And then my wife got orders to Montana, and so we moved to Montana, to Great Falls, Montana, Malmstrom Air Force Base, and she got pregnant. So we had to make a decision. Okay, do we stay here or do we move back to Las Vegas? Because she did not want to stay in the military having a child. And I don't blame her, because it's very difficult to raise a kid or raise several kids in the military, because in our career field as a cop, one parent's gone, one parent's home. Wow. So you're doing like high-fiving, as it's very difficult. Right.
Hey, what do you mean? That's what we do now when you're in business with your wife. That's how it works now.
Exactly. So we made the choice. We rolled the dice back to Vegas, because this is where all my connections were at. And we're here now, and now we're trying to make move. My wife's in nursing school right now, busting her hump, and because that's really a big job market in Montana, and that's kind of where we have our sights at, because it's beautiful up there. There's more opportunities, and it's more grounded than out here. Out here it's not reality. It's Las Vegas.
It's a vacation spot.
Chris, you just brought up a good point. You talked about values. Let's go in order, starting with Wayne, and let's talk about some values that you've created for your family.
Sure. I think what's most important is to commit and deliver. I think one of the things that I have the hardest time with is when people tend to overcommit or promise things that they can't deliver to their children. So you get down and you start to get to where kids don't believe in their parents anymore. So I think one of the family values that we have is, to remain always accountable. If you say you're doing something as little as heading into your room to brush your teeth, you better be heading into your room to brush your teeth. It's just having that integrity and making sure that, what you say can be delivered and is delivered when you say it.
Yeah, my wife calls it under-promising, over-delivering.
Sharp as the saw. Yeah.
That's awesome, Goldie.
Yeah, ours is just simple. I mean, for my wife and I and our kids, I just try to instill in them, overcoming adversity. Like my daughter, she's so competitive, and like when I think it's some of my fault when we just do play games around the house or race, I let her win. But now I start to beat her a little bit now.
Hey, this is on record.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to teach her that you're not going to be first in everything, Jaysha. Sometimes you're going to have to come in second, or you're going to have to come in third. You're going to have to learn how to bounce back from that. And my wife and I, we do it all the time as well in our day-to-day lives as well. Just overcoming adversity, because again, this is going to happen to you. And to me, the best people are the people that bounce back from that. So that's what I try to keep our sights on, just overcoming adversity, and no matter what it is, life, sports, whatever, because adversity is going to hit you at some point. How do you respond?
How do you respond? How do you react? How do you get over it?
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of what one of our most important roles as fathers is to stand with our children when they do fail.
Absolutely.
And reassure them that, hey, this is just a learning opportunity, right, and something that you can grow from. And it doesn't mean it's the end. It means you just need to try hard.
Right. It's building character. It's what it's doing. It's building character.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. No, please.
Of similar values like that. My mom was a practicing Buddhist growing up, so she was very inspirational in a lot of ways. But one thing she beat in my head, as as really young, she said this proverb that said, "Show up, pay attention, tell the truth, and accept the outcome." And I took that to heart. Show up for your job, show up to your commitments. Pay attention, observe, always tell the truth, be an honorable person, and accept the outcome. That doesn't mean you have to like the outcome, but you have to learn to accept it and try to change it if you can, And I've always my son's only 4.5, but I can't wait till he gets older. I'm able to kind of help guide him the same way my mother did, and my father too. But those are some main things that I always grew up listening to.
Hey, Chris, you said show up, pay attention.
Show up, pay attention, tell the truth, and accept the outcome.
All right, I like that.
Yeah, so
it's a Buddhist proverb.
We learn a lot on this platform from each other, guys, and really the entire premise behind this is to learn, and whether it be for ourselves or for our family or for all of it. Like, I've got notepads and notepads here of some of the stuff that you guys are saying so that we can continue to grow.
Right.
One of the things I heard you guys talk about, and why this is so great, is that we're telling stories here, and sometimes they're stories that we may have never told another person in the world. So I'm going to tell a story here. I'm going to share something that I haven't shared. My dad was not around. He had 3 kids with 3 different women, about 8 years apart. My mom just happened to be the last one, and she had me at the young age of 43 as her only child. So, complete opposites, Goldie, but at the same time, complete opposite challenges and issues that I had to deal with. Having a mom of that age, it was extremely, extremely challenging, and not having a dad around was even more challenging. But my story that I want to share is about what you talked about earlier about committing and delivering, Wayne. So my dad, in and out of jail throughout his entire life. At the age of 11, he reached out to me from jail and spent about 4 months writing letters, apologizing for all the actions he had taken, and to please write back. So my mom, being a hippie and of the generation of just like Chris's mom, to release and relax and let things go, don't carry him stress, said, son, you got to make that decision on your own. So I spent a good solid 4 months writing back and really getting involved to when he was supposed to get out of jail around Christmas time when I was in 8th grade. And I sent him a Christmas package with everything from cookies and cigarettes and, putting money on his books, doing all the things because it meant that much to me at least that stage of my life to meet him. And unfortunately, my heart was broken for the last time, was when he did get out. We never heard from him again. So at that age, I realized, look, if I'm going to do anything in this world, I'm going to do it 100%. I'm going to commit to it. And no matter what, I'm going to show up and not quit.
Yep.
And, I even spent a summer with my half sister, who I ended up getting a chance to meet and had a great relationship with. We searched for him down in San Diego. She wanted to meet him. I could have cared less at that point, but I wanted to support her. And once again, we spent a week on a wild goose chase in San Diego, going into homeless shelters and jails and apartments looking for this guy. And at that point, I finally decided, look, this isn't right. There isn't much, just like you said, Ronald, that he could teach me at this point in my life that I haven't been taught myself. And it's time to think and go in a different direction. So I am, too, reliving my childhood. And I'm doing it the way that I wanted it, being active and engaged and being able to coach and cook and teach, being a part of every single thing that my kids do.
So, Luke, what resources have you leaned upon to learn and to grow? I think as we shared our stories, I was fortunate to have the example, so I didn't have to search outside of my own home. So what resources have you turned to be that example and to be that father that that you can be?
Great question. So All Pro Dad was a great website that is connected to Tony Dungy. And, I remember getting an email from them the month that my daughter was born. I was working really hard, opening up the first gym we had here in Scottsdale. And it was a daily email, an affirmation. And it said, if you don't take the time to spend with your daughter, someone else will. And I was like, right. I was out the door. I was home. And, right now, for those of you guys that do have daughters, it's a different game. it's much different. And, you know, obviously we all want our daughters to, I got a fly in the office here. That's something you won't see on a podcast. That's about as real as it gets here, right? You know, my daughter to me is so special because at some point I will no longer be the man in her life. And I have to accept that and I have to acknowledge that. But the man in her life is going to have to be damn near perfect to get my acceptance.
That's right.
Knowing the kind of guy that I was, you know, before I got married and the kind of guys that are out there, you know, everybody can change and everybody can become somebody if they want to. But, you know, there's no way that someone's going to be able to come into our family.
Break into that circle of trust, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. That's funny. That's true. Wow. And you know what? And I'm gonna, you know, piggyback on Luke's answer to you, Wayne. The same thing for me. Man, I would cut out, when I lived with my grandmother, I cut out a picture of Walter Payton and a picture of Michael Jordan. And speaking of sweetness, hold on, I'll show you. Hold on. Oh, can you see that jersey up there? Hey.
Yeah.
We might have to do an entire show on all the stuff you have in your house, man.
No, but yeah, I know, right? But I cut out a picture of those guys, Michael Jordan and Walter Payton, and I put it on my wall. And I tell my grandma, I go to elementary school, that I want to be like one of those guys. I want to be one of those guys. I want to be one of those guys. So I will turn to outside influences, if you will, to like keep me grounded. Then I have my coaches in my life, you know, that kind of kept me grounded, and like, you know, those were the men. And then I grew up in the church too, so I had my pastor at my church, you know, when I was younger, that I would kind of look up to, you know what I mean? So you kind of find those inspirations, you know, in your life at the right season, at the right time to get you through your journey.
Right. But I think what was interesting is, you know, we've kind of recommitted as a family to getting back into the church. And the first week we did, there was an amazing sermon on a lot of those situations aren't by circumstance. It's those moments choose you, and you're in that position, and you're given that opportunity for a reason. And it's what you do with that opportunity and in those moments and how you embrace them that define you. And, you know, biblically, it was about the story of David and Goliath, which, you know, we all know, and there's been, you know, other books. Gladwell's book was written that really goes into the fact that, hey, maybe it wasn't David that was the weaker party in this fight. And I think that's what's important too, is to understand that, man, you know, take a look at times where you feel as though you're under adversity and look around, because you may have all the strengths in the world and actually have the upper hand.
Right.
So, guys, let me stay on that topic for just a moment. I'm actually going to open up my seat. There's a guy named Evan on the side here that would like to tell his story, and that's the really cool part about this platform, is we're able to do that and move people through the seats. But it's to work off of what you said about visualizing, Goldie, and the fact that you have to see what you want. So right now, as we speak, my wife is actually teaching a class at a place called Pinterest in Desert Ridge in North Phoenix, and it's an entire visualization area that's designed just for people to build things that they want to see into the future. It's almost like Pinterest, but it's for real in life, and you can leave there with different objects and events. They're doing vision boards right now. So if you don't know what a vision board is, you want to collect a ton of magazines for things that you want to see, that you want to have happen in your life. You cut them out, you put them on a piece of paper, you glue them, you get them laminated, and then you can put them up on the wall. So one of the things that we're talking about is what kind of activities can you do with your kids and your family that don't involve the TV and a screen? Well, if you do one of these vision boards and have it laminated, on the backside, you can put dinner table topics on it. So you can actually use them as placemats for the dinner table. So it's two-sided there, right? One side, you have a bunch of topics to talk about and discuss, very similar to playing the game Apples to Apples. And on the other side, you have your vision board of the things that you want to have happen in your life. I'm going to hop on. I'm going to pass Wayne, if you wouldn't mind co-piloting this thing, continuing the discussion. We got a couple guys that want to come in the seat. Nobody go anywhere until this show's over. I'll be watching and talking on the
Hello, Evan. How are you?
Hey, Evan.
Welcome to the show. We're not getting
Okay.
audio.
I can't hear anything.
Evan. No. We got video, but we're not hearing you, Evan.
Just like that, the Truman Show, he's back. That's how it works in and out. Evan, take a second and hit refresh, right? If this thing gets cloggy, this thing is still in beta. It's very new. So take a second, hit refresh. I'll get out of here and get you back on. But gentlemen, give him the old school gladiator thumbs up or thumbs down. When you hit 3 thumbs up, you're good to go, Evan. We'll hear.
All right.
Can't hear you.
Magic. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Evan, here's what I recommend. You can go into your settings. And this happens. You can pull up your internal microphone. You can confirm that your internal microphone is being used. If that's too much of a headache, just pull the earphones out, turn the volume up on your computer, and talk there. We'll go one more time. Otherwise, we'll have to that's the good, the bad, and the ugly with technology. For those of you guys that don't know, I spent 34 hours on this platform last weekend, from Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. to Sunday evening at 8:30 p.m. Here was the purpose.
Wow.
This was the purpose. The purpose was to deliver my message. My message is simple: to teach health, nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle and fatherhood to the world so that we can all become a happier, healthier place. I don't sell a magic pill. I don't sell a magic potion. There's no snake oil at all. I was testing my bandwidth, my physical, my mental, and my spiritual self. And at the end of the 34 hours, it was the hardest single thing I've ever done. Chris could probably speak on this for days. I was droning just like they do in the military. It was harder than SEAL Fit. It was harder than Kokoro. It was the hardest thing I've ever gone through because I was staring at a screen, but I was also having conversations with people, and some good people would come in and some good people would go out, and some bad people would come in and some bad people would come out. That is how I look at life. People are going to come into your life that are going to be positive influences. They're going to make things better around you, and they're going to make you happier. And because of that, you're going to be able to return that favor. And then there's those people that suck the life out of you. They come into your life. They always have a problem. They're always negative. They don't want to change anything. So I'm going to ask you guys, how do you separate the good, the bad, and the ugly with the people that come into your life?
For me, I look at life a little bit different. Does everybody know the guy Nikola Tesla? He had this theory about discovering the secrets of the universe was to think of it as energy, vibration, and frequency. So if you put that into modern terms today and go about your life as like an energy vessel, the type of food you eat, the type of energy you're going to produce, the type of environment you live in, you're going to put a vibration. So sometimes super positive people will attract negative people into your life because you can handle it. You can absorb that negative energy, but it's what you do with that energy is what separates most people. I'm a very patient person, so I have met, being in the military and being in my background, my line of work, I have met some of the most darkest and not evil, but negative people in my life. But I do not let that energy affect me. I just take it and I try to bounce it back or use it to, like Bruce Lee says, flow like water. I'm a true believer in that. You have to flow in life. If you meet a negative person, a lot of people will turn their back, or not even give them a time of day. I just embrace it head on. That's just how I've always been my whole life. Even as a child, I've always kind of, helped like kids who maybe didn't have a lot of friends. I always made it a purpose to kind of like help them have at least one friend. And it wasn't like some type of ego thing. It was just being a human being, basically. That's just how I've always looked at life. Because, like I said, my mother was very spiritual, so she put those values in me at an early age. To, you know, you're going to meet people in life that are negative, and you're going to meet positive people. And you know, I also worked in the nightclub industry out here in Las Vegas as a bouncer, and I can tell you firsthand that was, I mean, meeting some of the most negative people and dark energy in my life. And it put a toll on me, even spiritually and physically. It put a toll on my body, my mental state. And that was a true test, and especially in this city. You know, where I grew up at, there was a church on every block. And the type of people out there are super positive because the environment is super positive. And then coming from there to Las Vegas, where this place is like the mecca of, you know, dark energy. I mean, and then there's good people out here too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting down Las Vegas, but it attracts and it brings out the demons in people. Not to sound spiritual like demons, but the dark energy, you know. And so I would absorb that and try my best to, like, you know, flow with it or counteract it, whatever. And, you know, that's what I've always done. You know, try to absorb it as best I could and redirect it.
Yeah. I think for me, I tend to be more guarded, and I think it may be the fact that I do have 5 children, and a lot of our time is dedicated toward their needs and supporting them through their activities. So when it comes to friends and folks outside of our family, we tend to be real guarded in who we do spend time and intentionally give our time to. So with that, I guess I'd have to be honest and say we're not as open to the darker side in opening up our family to those opportunities to share, and maybe, you know, there may be opportunity there to learn too. But overall, it's kind of an intentional decision just to spend time with those loved ones within our family and our very close circle of friends.
And I tend to lean a little bit toward Wayne as well, Chris. Just for the simple fact of, you know, especially you know, when I was a professional athlete, you couldn't afford to allow those type of people in your life because it could eventually cost you your career. It could eventually cost you, you know, a lot of your future, if you will. And how I look at that, Luke, you know, is think about yourself as an adolescent growing up. How many friends you had when you're in high school, but when you got to college, some of those friends weren't around. Then when you graduated college and you became a professional and whatever that was, some of those friends weren't around. So my point is, as you become better in your life, as you know, once you start hitting these pinnacles and hitting these goals that you set for yourself, those negative people are going to eventually pull themselves away from you anyway, or you're going to have to pull yourself away from them. I'm not going to hate on them. I'm not going to, you know, no hard feelings, but we're not going in the same direction anymore. You know, I'm going here, you're going here. You can continue your path, but I got to go in my path because I know where I want to be.
Right.
So my last week of high school, my principal sat me down in his office and he said, Luke, listen, you are an influencer.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You cannot get involved in what's happening. We grew up in Palm Springs. We went to Palm Springs High School. So there was a lot of scrapping and fighting. We had race riots my freshman year in high school between the blacks and the Mexicans. We played sports. So we were able to kind of slide on both sides. But you know what? When it was time to get dirty, we still got our hands wet. Yeah. And he sat down and said, Luke, you will not know any of these people 10 years from now. You're willing to throw away your entire life to get into a fight with a bunch of people who could care less about you. And I said, you're crazy. What happened? Year 1, you're still my homies. Year 2, year 3, year 5, I don't talk to any of them. Yeah. I married my high school sweetheart. I'm friends with all her girlfriends. I got a couple buds that I, you know, will talk to every now and then. But that core group that I would have ride or died for, gone. Gone.
Yeah. So let me ask, how much do you guys believe in the notion that you are a product of the closest 5 people in your lives?
Oh, yeah. I believe that for sure.
Yeah.
I'll share my, I have a close relationship with my father-in-law. And one of the things he said to me that early in my wife and I's relationship was, you know, what will define you are the books that you read and the people you meet. Yeah. And that's that's been true for me in my professional career, in establishing and working through with mentors, and in my personal life, and in those friends that I dedicate, my time to and spend time with.
Yeah, like in the military, you're thrown into situations where you can have the best squad ever, but the bottom line is the mission gets done. And so you're thrown into a melting pot of people and personalities and cultures, and everybody clashes, but you have to learn to adapt and overcome and flow with the situation. And that was one thing that for any military individual will back me up on that, is that the military does not train you, but makes you able to problem solve and get the mission done first, no matter who's in your party. And so that was something that was interesting in the military was you have a tight group of guys and you get a new guy to come in and it would throw the whole vibe off. It throw the whole vibration off the whole crew. And it took a while to everybody to adjust their frequency to that person and help them, And but yeah, of course, when you get out, when you start having your own family and stuff, of course you want to be around the most positive people. It's very important, to be like that. But in life, negative things will always creep up. But like I said, it's what you do with them that's going to define you as a person.
So guys, let's take a quick break here so that we can share our message with the world. Take a second and go to the left-hand side. Tell a little bird. For those of you guys watching on the side, Evan, we'll give you another shot here, buddy, because you seem really eager to get on the show. But let's take a minute and let's tweet out, how do you express love? That's the next topic we're going to discuss. Wayne and I spent a little time on the phone yesterday talking about a few things here. And he said, one of the questions I asked him was, how do you express love? And he said, funny, I just had this conversation with my wife yesterday, and she expressed to me that I don't express my love and appreciation enough through voice. So I think about it this way. I say I love you more than I say any other 3 words in the world. My son and I and our wife and our daughter, I'm going to have to get a counter out just to see how obsessive it is. But it truly is one of those things that we say to each other, whether it's good or bad. One of the things in our house that we say that we cannot ever do is leave each other or go to bed angry or upset. Life's too short. I've lost a lot of people that I never got a chance to say goodbye to growing up. And had I been able to say I love you one more time, I probably wouldn't be carrying such a heavy load on my shoulders as I do now, and why this message is so important to me. So a quick tip of the week, guys, no matter where you are in the world, make sure you call the ones you love and let them know that you love them. If you look on the side box, I am posting Fathers of the Future Experience number 4 next week. So please subscribe to that. I'm going to get out of here. We'll give Evan another shot. Nobody go anywhere. We got at least another 20 minutes.
Hey.
Hey, Evan.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, all right. I had to switch computers.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. There be some prop for being able to get on there. There you go.
Hey,
so, Evan, where are you coming from?
I've been following you guys' conversation now for about 10 minutes. Wanted to share, I'll share my story real quickly. And I have a podcast that I'm going to be starting here in about a month. It's called 936 Weeks to Manhood. And it's a podcast for fathers who have sons. And 936 weeks is 18 years. And when every week goes by, that's a week you don't get back with your son. And the world is going to see him as a man when he's 18. And it's our job as dads to prepare them to be men. And it's not the world's job, it's our job. And certainly in conjunction with your wife. And so, my story real quickly is I was 35 years old. I was in seminary and I was going to be a marriage and family therapist. And my wife ended up in therapy for a personal issue. And I eventually went into therapy myself. And one harmless question that a therapist asked me changed the course of my life. And I'm still on that course today. And the question was, when did you become a man? And up to that point in my life,
I made a point of having an answer for every question that somebody threw at me. And so I went through the standard sort of things. I've served in the military. I've worked at Fortune 500 companies. I have 3 college degrees. I'm married. I have a son. Do any of those count? And the answer was rattling around in my head. How come I have to ask that question? Because frankly, what it came down to is our culture does not have any social markers for manhood. The unspoken message is figure it out on your own. And that's the first, and we're into it 4 generations now with a culture that doesn't bestow manhood on their sons, and says your childhood is over and you're now a man. And so we are left to figure it out on our own. And so that's been a passion of mine for 25 years now. Because you see, I had a problem when I walked out of that therapist's office is I have a son who's 4 years old. And the question that I ask myself is, what am I going to tell my son if I don't have an answer for it? What am I going to teach him about being a man when I don't even know what it means to be a man? And I love God. I've been married for 15 years at that time, and I'm stumbling around wondering what the heck's going on. And so that's a passion of mine, is to, as you guys, I listen to you all and talk about the influence that we have as a father, particularly with our sons, it's an opportunity, but it's also a responsibility. And yet many of us, as I said, every man's on a journey, but some men are more lost than others.
Nice. I think that was one of the main takeaways I got. I was handed the book by Dennis Rainey, Stepping Up. Mm-hmm. And in that book, the big message was to be intentional in your actions and really to be an influencer and be involved in your children's lives. And it shared at different stages in their lives how you can take action and be involved. So, for instance, with a toddler, what types of involvement as a father you can impart upon them to help guide them through their journey to being a man. And then it also discussed adolescence and so forth. So I found that, that resonated with me in your message and reminded me of that book.
Do you guys know the statistics on the average amount of time that a father spends in intentional interaction with his son on a daily basis?
No, I
don't. Less than 6 minutes.
Wow. Is that right?
Less than 6 minutes. So you do the math, guys. It's 7 times 6. It's 42. That's less than an hour a week. And yet, here's the other statistic that'll blow your mind. The average amount of time that boys are spending in technology today is approaching 9 hours a day. That's texting. That's computers. That's you name it. Yeah. And so all those hours that they're in technology, they're not in relationships. Mm-hmm. So you add that together with 6 minutes or less with their father a day. And it's no wonder that men approach the age of 18 and they're clueless about what it means to be a man, and B, they're not prepared at all to enter in the world. They could be sperm donors. They can't be men who lead families. Right. Agree. Yep. So that's a passion of mine. And boy, I'm glad I found this conversation here.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. That's right. I think one thing we talked about earlier, was the aspect of it's a continual journey, and it's you listed 936 weeks. Even after that, you're not done. And I go back and I try to, when I read different things, the 10,000 hour rule and those things. I'm like, wow, so what's fatherhood then? The $10,000 million per hour rule. I mean, when do you hit that point in the journey?
Well, we're always going to be a father to our children. Always. That never stops. But we're not going to be a parent to them, because God didn't create us to parent our whole life. But we don't know when to stop. No. And so The other thing that I do for a living, I'm a marriage and family therapist. And you know how many, men come into my office who are offended that their dad or mom are still trying to tell them how to live.
Yeah, you can imagine.
Yeah, and they're a dad or a mom. I mean, they got children, they've been in the military, wherever, and their dads still tell them what kind of cars to drive.
Yeah. Wow.
So that is a huge. It's a big vacant hole that I see in our culture today. Is that we've lost our way in regards to actively preparing our sons to be men who can be leaders of families and can serve the country and be really man. The old thing is if you give a boy a gun, does that make him a man?
No.
And Chris, you're in the military, okay?
Yeah. No, it does not.
It does not. That doesn't. And so if you make $1 million because you're a professional athlete, does that make you a man? Yeah.
No.
And so that's the sort of struggles, and it's not magic. I mean, here's another interesting thing. Do you know how many Hasidic Jews have ever been on death row in the history of death row?
How many?
No.
0.
Wow.
0. And so you kind of wonder why. Is that just lucky? No, because there's that culture has a very definite process where they take boys and say, you're going to be a man. What I say is, I have one son now, he's 31, because I wasn't raising a boy. I was raising a future man. And everything I did was about his future as a man. And I spent time with him and did all kinds of things. And he now is a father, and I'm a grandpa. But that's a legacy. I heard someone here say legacy. Maybe it was, I don't know, Luke, I think, mentioned that. What's our legacy as a parent? It's our children.
Mm-hmm.
It's our children.
Yeah.
That's our legacy. It isn't our occupation. They are going to go on and with our fingerprints all over them. And that's kind of a neat opportunity.
Yeah.
See, I struggle in that only in my belief is our legacy is those values we've instilled upon them.
Yes.
I believe in some part they will begin to make their own decisions. Mm-hmm. And I guess for me, I don't want to put the burden on my children to live my legacy. I think it's up to them to define their own. But certainly through the guidance and the values that I imply and I impart on them in my time to do so and in those early years. So Let me ask you, Evan, so if there is one takeaway that you'd want for us three and Luke also, us four to remember from your message, what would that one takeaway be?
Well, I think the one message that I would want to share to all of you is that you're never going to get time back. You don't get it back.
Yep.
And so, you just, if you're gone from your son or daughter's life, however it is, you don't get those weeks back. And someone has said to wake up tomorrow and be intentional about the opportunity that you have as a father to make a difference in whether it's your daughter's life or your son's life. And that's one of the reasons why, we have children, is because you get to leave your legacy with them. They're not going to carry on my legacy. My son does different things than I do. But what I try to do, that's why I've created the podcast 936 weeks, because there is a finite amount of time before our culture says you're a man and we'll sue you, we'll throw you in prison, we'll expect you to act in certain ways. And I see it's an opportunity for me as a dad. It's certainly, I don't know what the ages are of your children, but they're an open book for a few years, and then it starts closing pretty hard. And by the time they're teenagers, it's tough to speak into their lives. And so
there's so many other influences as well.
Well, what I say all the time, guys, is you're going to influence your kids, but how?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you do or don't do, you're going to influence them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in the time thing. That's for
Sorry
sure.
about that. Didn't mean to cut you off right there. I just wanted to keep this show going. That was absolutely amazing. Evan, appreciate you coming on and talking about that. To take a thing forward in what you said about 936 weeks, we're actually going to be doing something in our household when our son turns 9 that I heard about a few years back, and I never got a chance to do it, but we're actually going to do it, where we're going to take half of that. So he's going to be 18 years old in 936 weeks. If he turns 9, we have 468 weeks left. We're going to take 468 marbles and put them in one large container next to an empty container. And each weekend, each Friday night, we will take a marble and put it from one container to the other to slowly see how much time we have left together. And yes, just like Wayne said, we will be parenting and we will be a father forever, for as long as we're on this earth. That first 18 years is obviously very critical to have your kids in your house. So I highly recommend doing that little tool, that little practice. Take half those marbles, take coins, take something, but every single week you can visually see each week ticking by and how much time you have left with your kids. We're getting close to the end here, guys. A couple more subjects I want to talk about. What is the most embarrassing moment as a father? Wayne, you wrote down a good one here. I'm going to let you go ahead and take the floor.
All right. And I was reminded of this by my wife, because I tend to put those things out of my mind, you know. I called her on the phone. And I was like, Stace, you know, I have to share an embarrassing moment as a father. I said, I really don't have anything. She started laughing. And she said, remember at your parents' house when you went sledding? So we're here in Tucson, Arizona. So you don't get the opportunity to take your kids on an inner tube down a hill sledding too often. So we go back to Massachusetts and tend to spend, a week or so in the winter out there. So we brought our children out back east. And the home I live in has a very small hill on the side of it, but we had a good snow, so we started to carve out a little section, a path to bring the inner tube down. And I had my daughter on my lap, and we got to where the path was able to reach all the way to my dad's shed at the bottom of the hill. Well, we were cruising down the hill, and we start heading toward the shed. So I veer off into the woods. Well, we hit a tree stump that had been cut earlier that season and started to flip the tube. So I grabbed my daughter and I turned myself and I hit the back of my head against another stump and passed out cold. So my dad runs down the hill and he's shoveling snow onto my head, and I'm here waking up like I've been knocked out, and my daughter's crying, standing over me, and I got up and we all had the best laugh after, because, it's one of those moments where you have this fear and you're so wanting to protect your child. But it really was just like the silliest thing. If you could only see the hill, the visual would make it the most embarrassing part, because it's a very small hill, and I embellish the story when I tell it to my younger kids now. I mean, it's a ski resort, and it was cliff that we fell off. That was taken out, but it's one of those things that we laugh about now, and it was embarrassing at the time. But
so Wayne, let me stick with you for just a second. 5 kids, triplets. How do you guys share the responsibilities?
Man, I mean, it's a true partnership. I think really, we get together as a couple on Sunday nights, and we kind of look at the schedule for the week ahead, so we can plan out. I mean, my wife is a type A planner. So we get it together. We get it on the schedule. In the laundry room, we have a big calendar that we can write on. And then during the week, we're intentional with our time. We know where we need to be, when we need to be. Although often, that changes, so that my wife is a night nurse. So our schedules, I think Chris mentioned, the high five, in passing. So I tend to be the early morning guy. I get up and I do the ponytail and brush the teeth and have the time to share breakfast with my kids. and send them off to school. And my wife tends to take the later portion of the day with our children. But I guess what we're fortunate about is we did kind of work towards a military structure, very disciplined time with the youngest children, the babies. So they fell into the schedule, which makes it easier for us to identify those times. We can do things like this and support those activities that mean a lot to us outside of the home.
All right, Wayne, let's keep going with you here. If you were gone tomorrow, how would your kids and your wife remember you?
Yeah, man, I think the biggest thing is, my patience. I think really there's very little that can rattle me. And I'm really one that, just can kind of ride with the flow and adapt pretty quickly to change. Dedication to my family. I think a number of decisions that have been made in my life since having kids were heavily defined by being a father and having that responsibility. So, and even down to my latest career transition. So, I think really a dedicated, patient family man is how I'd be remembered.
Well said, Ron.
Same question or what?
Well, let's start with the last two questions here. What was the most embarrassing moment you've had as a father, and how would you like to be remembered if you were gone tomorrow?
Look, I haven't been a father that long, 4 years. So,
don't tell me you've never been embarrassed. Get out of here. You're not that cool.
But I'm serious. My daughter's 4. My twin boys are 17 months. I'm trying to think of that question and beating myself up. What have I been in? I mean,
you've never been shat on at the Olive Garden?
You know what happened though? Honestly, it was kind of embarrassing. Probably was we were in a pool about a month ago. We was in Montana, Chris. Made me think this before we left for Montana. We vacationed there, so Montana is gorgeous. By the way, I love it up there.
Right.
But we were here swimming, and my wife is like, okay, we were out of swim diapers for the boys. They didn't have more of those Huggies. So I'm like, man, they'll be fine. Just let them in the pool. Like she goes, well, one of them maybe was like, no, nobody's gonna poop in the pool. We're fine. We're good. So long story short, we're swimming, and sure enough, my youngest Teo poops in the pool. Like I've never seen this happen, but I've never seen poop in the pool. Like, what is that? Like, I don't know if you guys ever seen the Eddie Murphy stand up where the shark is in the water. That's what I thought about the whole time. So Teo pooped in the pool. I had to get the net out and fish for poop out of the pool. So that was kind of embarrassing. Like, and then it goes back to what we all hear all the time: the woman is what? Always right? So
now, did you shut it down for 24 hours?
I told my daughter, the pool is closed, so we can't. Yeah. So that was kind of embarrassing but funny. So that was a moment where, a big brown shark was coming near me. That was it.
So now that the trophies are gone, you've been off this earth for a few years, and all of a sudden, your kids and your wife and all your family are at Thanksgiving, and they're sitting around the table and they're talking about Ron Goldie McClendon. What are they saying?
Honestly, man, to sum it up about me, my family, and my friends, honestly, I just want them to be like, man, you know what? Daddy was so much fun. That's it. Daddy was so much fun. We had so much fun with Daddy. And I want my wife to be like, man, my husband was my best friend. Like you, college. Like you, Luke. You say your wife was your high school sweetheart. Well, my wife was my college sweetheart. We met at Ole Miss. She was a volleyball and golf player. And she didn't want to be the athlete, but a lot of precision, persistence got me in there. But I just want my family to say, man, my kids, like, Daddy was so much fun. That's what I want. I just want them to have fun, and having fun, I mean, and just in everything, and doing the homework. I was helping my daughter with homework. I had a bargain with her tonight. You finish your homework, then we go in the pool. So, we finished our homework. We had fun. She's probably better swimmer than I am, to be honest with you. So, but it's fun. I just want them to be like, Daddy was so much fun, man. And everything that falls under that umbrella of fun. That's me. That's it.
Yeah, and for those of you guys that don't know, Ron's been a member of our gym here in Scottsdale for about 4 years, and he's working his tail off right now. So he's in the OR every morning, Monday through Friday. So he hasn't been able to train with us. He came in last week,
so much fun.
And it's our Tuesday, Thursday men's class. We call it the OG class.
Yeah.
It's loud music. It's a bunch of guys with their shirts off.
Yeah.
He brought so much energy. He brought the hot sauce. In case you don't know, the hot sauce is a slap to the back of the neck or the chest. For you right before you get ready to hit a lift.
Chris, you will love it, buddy. You will love the hot sauce. I knew it.
I want some.
I probably had 5 people today say, hey, is Goldie coming back? Can you get him to come in the morning? Can you get him to come in? Because energy really does create so much more energy.
Absolutely.
And Ron, you do such an amazing job that I can guarantee you're like this everywhere you go and with anybody you're with.
Oh, look, you know what? It's funny. My wife said I have no chill. I really don't. I have 0 chill, man. I mean, like you guys mentioned before, man, life is short. I mean, I just want to have fun, man, and enjoy my life and enjoy my kids, and enjoy my friends, and because like I lost a cousin at 16 years old, man. And that moment in my life just changed my whole vision on everything. I mean, we worry, and I know I'm getting off track here, but we worry so much about the little things in our lives, guys. I mean, I was watching the Hard Knocks last night with the Houston Texans. I don't know if you guys watched that show or not. And I saw the head coach and his son who has that. You guys get a chance to see that? He's suffering from a disease where his brain doesn't function the way ours function. And they told him that his son wouldn't live to be over 2 years old. Well, his son made 13 years old. But he's stuck in the. And he can't move, he can't talk, and I look at that and I always, and sometimes when I pray, I ask God for more money. I ask God for I do like God, bless me financially more, and I look at these shows and when you got triplets who came out healthy. You got Chris, you got a son who's freaking healthy. Look, you got 2 amazing kids. Man, we're rich beyond belief. But sometimes, I'm thinking for me, sometimes you take it for granted. I know I do. I take it for granted. I had to sit back and have to pinch myself and say, you know what, Goldie, look what you have, man. Go to New Orleans for a weekend and come back and tell me how lucky you are to be where you are. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I got garbage duties, guys, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know you guys do the same thing, right? And some nights I'm like, oh, it ain't that full. I'll wait till next week to do it, right? And I say, you know what, Goldie? I'm lucky to have a freaking garbage can to roll to the end of the street. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just lucky to have that stuff. So, guys, I just want my family to say, you know what? My dad was awesome. He was fun. That's it.
So Bill O'Brien is the head coach, and their son, Jack, suffers from lissencephaly.
That's it.
A genetic condition that results in the development of damage. I'm going to go ahead and put that link in case you guys want to research a little bit more about it right there.
Check it out, man. It really makes you – it really, really makes you, appreciate things. I mean, if you guys watch the TNT during the basketball season with Ernie Johnson, his son, he have a son as well, that suffer from things. So, man, guys, we're millionaires in so many other ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that.
For sure, yeah.
All right, Chris, the top 2 questions here. What embarrassing moment have you had as a father? And what would your wife and son and your family say? First of all, I know what I'd say about you. So let me explain, this relationship that I have with Chris. I found Chris on Facebook because he was a graphic designer, and I was looking for a graphic designer to do some work. And I went onto his website, and I actually bought one of his prints. It's not Tom Hardy. What's his name? Chris?
Dan Hardy.
Dan Hardy, UFC fighter. I actually have it right here in the other room. And I ordered the print, and he then replied to me and said, hey, Luke, I'm a graphic designer. Can we talk? So without even knowing each other, I said, look, I got this company called Sick Fit. I'm looking to get some graphic design work done. Can you help me? Well, fast forward 2 years, we never even met in person until we met in Vegas. Wow. And we met at breakfast. We hit it off. Chris has done so much graphic design work. You can see this piece right here, 1776 behind me. You can see the Punisher stuff that he's done. Absolutely amazing work. And most of the time he does it without asking for a dime.
Wow.
Of course, I do pay him later, but at least in the beginning, he doesn't ask for a dime, and that just shows so much character. So if I were to say something about you, I would say a man of heart and honesty, a man of trust, who really gives people the benefit of the doubt. He may stomp the crap out of you afterwards if you disrespect him the second time, but he'll definitely give you the benefit of the doubt. And he's a very, very trustworthy guy and an honest guy, and he's a hardworking guy too.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's something that's. Like I said, my mom, once again, just go with the flow. You know, I'm a very patient person. Like Wayne was saying, it doesn't take, nothing really rattles me unless it's a dark. Well, I have new neighbors next door, and their dog's been barking for 3 weeks, and I'm getting a little bit aggravated now. But but that's just life, you know. But yeah, I'm a very patient person. I think like what Ronald was saying is like. If I left tomorrow, people would say, you know, I'm a very patient person. I don't take life that serious. You know, being in the military, you're kind of exposed to a lot of stuff, and you just got to deal with it. And you change as a person, and you see the worst in people, and you see the best in people, and you got to take from that and mold that to your own personality, and just go with the flow. And that's one thing that I think for sure people would say if I left tomorrow, is that he was patient, honest, honorable. I tell the truth. I don't sugarcoat stuff. I'll tell you flat out what's up. You know, it's just how I think that's how everybody should be. The problem in our society today is everybody hides behind computers, and Facebook is, I call it fake book, because everybody puts these fake images up to its ego. You know, I don't know, but.
There's no hiding here.
Yeah, well, Chris, you know what? That's why, to be honest with you, I mean, I don't want to get into politics right now, but that's why I'm having a very interesting time watching Donald Trump right now. He's telling the truth. He's telling people, you know what? Whether you like him or you don't like him, he's being honest. He's telling you
straight up
what he thinks, how he feels, and you can you can act accordingly in your booth when you get ready to vote. But I like that. I mean, we've had so many robots. Prior to this, it's refreshing to see a guy that says, you know what, I don't like Rosie O'Donnell. Like, you know what I mean? It's awesome.
Everybody's so worried to offend people.
Yeah.
It would be amazing if someone could have that moment of truth, but deliver a better message.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I just like the honesty, though. I'm loving it.
Absolutely. I mean, I respect it.
Yeah. That's the best way to live life. You know, if you live your life honorable and honest, you know, if you can look at yourself in the mirror if you can look in yourself in the mirror every day and say, this is who I am, I'm honest, I'm honorable, there's not much the world can throw at you that you can't handle, you know?
And I think, too, that's what's most important, is to understand who you are, to help better define, you know, who you want to be. Right. Because who you are today doesn't define who you are in 5 years or tomorrow.
Yeah, and you can't be afraid to fail in life. You have to fail in life. You cannot be afraid to fail. And I fail every day as a human being. You know, I'm not trying to live a perfect life. I'm just trying to live an honorable life, and that's what I want my son to take away from like how I observed my father growing up. He was an honorable man. Everybody loved him because he was just so genuine. He didn't have any. You know, in society today, it seems like everybody has like an ulterior motive. Right. You know. Like, how can I benefit from this person?
Exactly right, man.
You know, and those people are easy to spot out, and it's just, you know, be honorable. That's my biggest thing to my son. If I could pass.
I think, man, just to touch on that, you know, I don't want to get too far off track, but that's a lot to do with, you know, the social media today. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody wants to be famous. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to be famous. Like, why can't you just be, you know, there's enough. You know, there's different lanes for different things. That's what my coach would say. Stay in your own lane. You have your lane. You stay in your lane. You stay in your lane, and we'll all be fine. Everyone wants the same lane. Everyone wants to be in the fame lane. I want to be famous. How can I be famous? You know, and to be honest with you, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I'm not saying I'm famous, but I'm just saying, just look at those people who are. You know, I don't see. You know, I mean, Robin Williams was one of my favorite comedians. The guy committed suicide. But from the outside of it, like he had it all. It all. Bill Cosby, a guy I grew up loving. Look what he turned out to be. So it's not, like you said, it's not all what you think it is all the time. You know what I mean, Chris? So
I agree with you 100%. 100%, you know. Everybody's looking for that 15 minutes of fame.
Exactly.
And I think about, but that's just the world we live in.
Yeah. I think when I think about fame, it's a question about what are you leaving as your legacy. And we talked about that tonight. And one of the things early on in my daughter's life, she's now 4, but I remember the first day going to the hospital, and I remember hitting a stop sign, and it just occurred to me that this is the hardest job I'm going to have to do. And unlike, any other job where you can look at some external outcome and say, well, that worked, or, well, that didn't. The challenge in being a dad is that you never really get the full outcome until you're gone, right? And the reality is that it's always, your actions are always made on a kind of continuum of faith. I think this might happen, but in learning, you have to have this kind of moment of grace to be able to say, look, it worked last time, let's try again, but it might not. And to be able to hold on to the good thing and let go of the bad. And I think the issue about counting time, that's crucial, because we don't recognize as much as we, and I think this is a funny paradox. As much as our generation is all about time management, we fail to really reflect on what that time brings us. I have calendars just as much as anybody else, but the question comes down to, are you really reflecting on that time, and is that time the best spent of it, for not just for you, but for those.
Think about that marble container thing for a visualization standpoint.
Yeah.
Think about your calendar.
Yeah.
Right? Think about looking at your calendar, and your calendar is not going to make decisions for you, at least not heartfelt ones. But if you're sitting at your desk or you're sitting at home, and in the corner of your eye, you see that container start to shift from over to under, you're going to see that thing just like you would a timepiece slowly start. And that decision is going to go, look, I don't know how many weeks are left in this thing, but I'm not going to risk spending time going to some party or going into something that doesn't make sense when I could be spending time with my family and my kids and the things that are most important to me.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things about it is, I think the challenge underlying that is developing those reflective disciplines to go back and to say, what is of value in this moment, and then hold on to that. Because as soon as you do that, I think fundamentally things change and your perspective changes. But if you're in the moment all the time, what happens is you don't really gain an opportunity to do that kind of reflectiveness. And I think that's valuable for any relationship that matters. And so that was my insight.
Well, thank you, Robert. Thank you for joining the show, too. You've become a regular on here. I will see you next week. I'm going to put Wayne back in the spot. We're going to change this thing up for the last 5 minutes here. We planned for an hour, but it looks like we're going an hour and a half, and that's okay. I want to get this thing done in about 5 minutes. Here's what I want you to start thinking about. Take 5 minutes to start thinking about, A, what is your shameless self-promotion? That means if you have a website, if you want to showcase your graphic design, if you want somebody to get a hold of you, whatever it is. For me, this week I'm talking about the Whole Life Challenge. The Whole Life Challenge is a fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle accountability piece that our team SickFit is putting together. The website's up there. We're going to hold each other accountable for 56 days to eat right, to sleep right, to live in the moment, and to follow the actions that we want. It's in the website. Please put your email in here if you would like me to send you the link of this video so you can have it both for sharing purposes, but for your own personal content. And one of the things I want you guys to think about between now and next week is what activities can you write down on paper that we can share next week, both inside and outside of the office or house, that are completely unplugged. My example, and it's not a very complicated one. This Sunday, I'm taking the kids fishing to Lynx Lake, about 2 hours north. We're going to leave the house at 9:30 after football practice. I am going to promise to leave my cell phone in the car when I get out. We're going to go fishing, and we're going to enjoy that moment. And we're going to bring it back to school, back to work when we get shifted on Monday to do the things that we need to do. But for that small moment in time, nothing else matters. Nobody else matters. We're just going to focus on each other.
Right there.
It's awesome.
Wayne.
Yeah, man. I think I'm working through right now a career transition. I think after 16 years, I've been in the corporate world. I've worked for one of the world's largest computer companies in the area of finance and accounting. And within that, I've had the opportunity to develop a large knowledge base and skill set that in my transition, I'm hoping to leverage and share with small businesses and working through helping small business owners organize their day-to-day financial transactions into kind of reliable financial statements that they can utilize to better understand and make decisions upon how to run their business. And within that, it also helps support my family values and the time that I want to continue to dedicate toward my children in experiencing their lives as they're living them. I think for the longest part of my career, almost 14 years, I've had the opportunity to work from home. So I've seen my daughter's first step, all my children's first step. I've heard their first words. I've been there to drive them to school and pick them up and attend school activities and just really be a part of their lives. And I hope to continue that, but through my business, Prescribed Bookkeeping. So that's my shameless plug. So thanks for the opportunity. I'm really grateful to have this time to really learn from you guys and share, and also hopefully encourage some dads out there.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne. Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
What you got, Goldie?
My shameless plug. Not so much myself, guys. I'm for work, as you guys know, I was a professional athlete. Now I'm a medical device rep. I work for a distribution called Precision Medical. Do sports medicine, ACLs, rotator cuffs. So like Luke mentioned earlier, I'm in the OR every day. But I'm not going to plug me. I'm going to plug my wife's business. It's called Bitchin' Beads. BITCHIN BEADS, Bitchin' Beads. And her website is bitchinbeads.ca. And men, if she's a wearable art. She makes all of her jewelry out of glass. It's put together with stainless steel or 14 karat gold, either whatever you got prefer as far as space. But go to her website.
So you got to put that in the text box. That's the best way to do it so that it stays on there. Just click it, highlight it, pick her website, and punch it right there onto the right where it says type something cool.
Okay, yeah. So I'll put it there, guys. Go to the website. If you guys got any special events coming up for your wives, my wife, she done weddings, she's done anniversaries. All her pieces are custom made, one of a kind. There's no two alike. And just go see if you have a section on the site called the Candy Jar. So go to the Candy Jar, see what you guys like. We deliver all over the country. Also in Canada. So if you see something you like for your wife, for your mom, just let us know and we can take care of you guys. So I'm going to plug my wife's company and I'll put it here for you guys.
Excellent. I just put in next week's Fathers of the Future experience number 4, same time, same channel. Before we get off the line here, let's make sure we share that on our Twitter. And Chris, let's close this thing out, brother. Thank you for coming on. Let's hear it.
Of course. Thanks for the opportunity, Luke. Appreciate it. Shameless plug. My website, cbvisiondesign.com. I'll put that in the description. Basically, my thing is being a veteran. I'm trying to aim for other veteran-based companies and help them with free graphic design service, whether that be for logo design, T-shirt design. I just did the logo and T-shirts for Wounded Waters out there in Arizona. A Mad Fitter, I've done a lot of stuff for them. There's also another company, a buddy of mine is starting called Endure, where we're taking a lot of my designs and throwing them on T-shirts, and all the money profit goes back to helping like veterans.
Oh wow,
There's one of my pieces. That was like old school back like 5 years ago.
That's sweet, man.
But the Endure thing, as veterans, we can't wait for the government to help us out with problems, stuff like that. And when I was in the service, it was like an ongoing joke. We saw everybody had the stickers that said, "We support your troops," and I believe that it had the best intentions, but no airman, no soldier ever saw that money. So my friend and I wanted to start a company using my designs on T-shirts called Endure, and actually help out people that we know enough people in the community where if it might be like a electricity bill or groceries for the month, if we can help out with the little stuff, that makes a huge impact on a military's family. And that's what we're trying to really jumpstart that thing. He's doing another thing right now, so it's just right now it's a little bit of time separation we have, but we'll get that going pretty soon. And then I'll be plugging T-shirts and stuff like that, and trying to make connections. But I'll throw the websites on the link over here. So if there's people that need help with logos and designs, T-shirt, web graphics, it's pretty much tips is what I work for. So, and that's fine, and that's about it really.
So we ask and encourage you guys to come back week after week, share this story and the many stories of all the fathers that are coming on here. Our homework assignment for the week, encouraged by Wayne Richard up above, is write down as many activities that we can do together, whether it's at the dinner time or it's outside, but not involving any screens or any video games. Let's come up with a list of some creative ideas we can have and bring those back for next week. If you're interested in becoming a co-host or joining us within the circle or square of love, please email me, luke@sickfit.com. We'll see you guys next week. Keep up the hard work, fellas.
Awesome.
Thanks guys. Nice meeting you all.
Yep.
Take care.
Appreciate the time.
Easy. Yeah.